You hear it before you see it. A thin, rising whine cutting through the wet air at dusk. Somewhere in the reeds along the riverbank, a hunter freezes, spear half raised, eyes scanning the tree line for movement. He's watching for the shape of something with teeth. A cat. A hyena. Something that could break bone. He doesn't feel the thing that lands on the back of his neck. He doesn't feel it drink. By the time he does feel something, it's 3 weeks later, and there's no wound to point to. No claw marks, no blood in the grass, just a fever that won't break, and a body that's already lost the fight. For hundreds of thousands of years, your ancestors watched the wrong direction. They built their entire understanding of danger around teeth and claws and speed, around the things that hunt in the open where you can see them coming. Meanwhile, something smaller than your fingernail was killing far more of them than every lion, every cave hyena, every leopard combined. Not close. Not even in the same category. It's the mosquito and what it carries. Here's what makes this different from every other survival story. A predator wants you to see it coming because fear is part of the hunt. The mosquito doesn't care if you see it. It doesn't stalk. It doesn't need you exhausted or separated from the group. It lands, it feeds for less than a minute, and it's gone before you finish swatting at the air. The kill happens weeks later, in a body that has no idea it's already lost. Malaria is the disease doing the actual killing, and it is staggeringly old. Genetic evidence shows the parasite and the human immune system have been locked in this fight for tens of thousands of years, long before anyone was writing anything down. For most of that time, it left no trace archaeologists could find. No mark on bone. No wound in the skeleton. It was, for decades, an invisible killer in the fossil record, an entire war with no physical evidence it had ever happened. It's only recently that scientists learned to pull fragments of the parasite's DNA out of ancient teeth, and what they found was a disease already deeply woven into the human story thousands of years before anyone could name it. Now picture what that actually meant for a small group trying to survive a season. You can fight a lion, you can outrun a hyena, or at least you can try. You can build a wall, sharpen a spear, post a watch through the night. None of that works here. The thing that kills you is already inside you before you know it's there, and there is nothing to fight back against. No roar, no warning. Just a slow fire building in the blood, chills that won't stop, and a mind that starts to slip before the body finally gives out. Entire groups could be gutted this way, not by a single dramatic attack, but by something that moved through camp silently, picking people off one at a time, mostly the smallest and the weakest first. And here's the number that gets repeated in almost every account of this. Some researchers have claimed that mosquito-borne disease, mostly malaria, may have killed close to half of every human being who has ever lived. It's one of the most quoted statistics in the story of our species. It's also one of the shakiest. Statisticians who've gone looking for where that number actually comes from have struggled to find solid ground underneath it. So treat it the way you should treat any staggering claim. Even if the true number is a fraction of that, it still means this insect is, by an enormous margin, the deadliest thing our species has ever faced. Not the deadliest predator. The deadliest full stop. But your ancestors weren't defenseless. They just didn't fight back the way you'd expect. They fought back with their own bodies, over thousands of generations, at the level of blood itself. Somewhere between 7 and 20,000 years ago, in parts of Africa, a mutation appeared in the gene that builds red blood cells. It bent those cells into a crescent shape under stress, and that deformity turned out to be a fortress. The malaria parasite couldn't thrive inside a warped cell the way it could inside a healthy one. People who carried a single copy of this mutation got real protection against the disease, killing everyone around them. It should have been wiped out by natural selection within a generation, because it's a brutal trade. Inherit 2 copies of it, one from each parent, and it doesn't protect you. It becomes a disease of its own, a life sentence of pain and early death. And yet it spread anyway, and kept spreading. Because as terrible as that trade was, dying slowly of a blood disorder was still, on average, a better bet than dying of malaria. That is how bad the mosquito was. People's bodies rearranged themselves around a coin flip because the alternative was worse. That single mutation is still carried by tens of millions of people alive right now. Every one of them carrying a piece of a war that started before history began, written not in stone tools or cave paintings, but directly into human blood. there's a second defense, just as strange. In large parts of Africa, an entire population lost a specific marker on the surface of their red blood cells, a marker called the Duffy antigen. One species of malaria parasite needs that marker to even get inside a cell. No marker, no way in. So an entire group of people effectively became invisible to that particular killer, simply by losing something most humans still carry. It's not a tool. It's not a technique anyone chose. It's evolution rewriting the door lock because something kept breaking in. Think about what that tells you about the scale of this threat. A lion can shape your hunting strategy. It can shape where you build your camp. It cannot rewrite your genome. Malaria did. For thousands of years, this insect and the parasite riding inside it exerted more evolutionary pressure on the human body than almost anything else on the planet, predator included. Every scar, every wound, every brush with a big cat left its mark on individuals. The mosquito left its mark on the species. And it never really stopped. Skip forward past the mammoth hunters, past the Ice Age, past the rise of farming in cities and empires, and the mosquito is still there, waiting in the same swamps and standing water, adapting, spreading with every ship and army and road humans ever built. It has been quietly shaping the outcome of wars, the rise and fall of empires, the very places humans could and couldn't settle for the entire span of recorded history. Right now, today, it is still, by a massive margin, the deadliest animal on Earth to a human being. Not sharks, not snakes, not any of the big, dramatic predators that make it into documentaries about danger. This one. So the next time something lands on your arm in the dark and you swat it away without thinking, understand what you just brushed off. Not an annoyance. Not background noise on a summer night. The single most successful killer your species has ever encountered. One your ancestors fought for hundreds of thousands of years with nothing but blind evolutionary luck. One that rewrote human blood itself just to survive it. And one that, even now, has never actually stopped hunting.